Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Muller67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
You're doing
Not
okay?
too bad.
Just okay?
Yeah. I'm
Not a
doing
great day. Like
alright.
what's wrong, my buddy?
Oh, it's just
My
been
pal? Just long?
it's just been a lot today, just trying to recuperate from, our Christmas and like trying to catch up on sleep and stuff, and just a lot of stuff's been going on. Like I've had my internet company come out here like multiple trying to figure out why I'm not getting the service I got upgraded to, like the speed.
I am. They're doing that on
So
purpose. That's why.
yeah, I think so. So like it's just a little hectic. So yeah, it's been a day, but I'll get over it. That's nothing. That's
He'll
fine.
get over it whenever they finally fix your internet because you're freaking paying them for it.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel.
They're not charging you for the technician coming out, right?
No, the technician things are free as long as like there's a problem.
Yeah. And are they deeming this as an official problem?
Well, they're saying it's the route. They said that they get connection perfectly fine, but once I run connection tests on things, I'm not getting the speeds. I'm getting half those speeds. So I was like, I'm not paying for a service where I get a gig internet and I'm only getting 500 megabytes. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just stupid.
It's not worth it. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Was it what was their solutions to it? Get a new router or
So like I actually had to talk to our buddy because he works for that company, and he told me that he's gonna help me troubleshoot it after we're done with the stream tonight. And yeah, we're gonna try to figure this out because we think he knew exactly which router they gave me and stuff because he installs those.
mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, did he check this? And I was like, yeah, he checked all that. And he's like, all right, well, that doesn't make sense. He's like, well, maybe your computer just needs updated. And I was like, oh, we'll try that. But he's like, I'll try to walk you through a whole bunch of stuff that I can do over the Discord chat. So
The
that's
other
what I'm
thing you may
doing.
want to check to see is your Ethernet cords.
I've
Because
actually switched out like multiple ones just to see.
well, are
And
they all Cat 5 or Cat 6s?
Kai 5.
Cat 5? Okay, I think Cat 5 throttles. Could be wrong. I forget which it is. I'll have to look up. I know
also
I buy
have-
the highest one.
I have a Cat's 8. Yeah, I have a Cat 8, which is like the Cat 8s exist. They're like super expensive. Usually they're like $30 to $40 just for like a
Mhm.
small line. But Cyber Monday had them for $20. So I
Okay.
picked up one of those for my computer, and yeah, it's the same problem.
Well, okay. I guess I'll have to upgrade my cords. I didn't know there was something better than that. Wow. I didn't know that. So Austin, guess what me and my coworkers did today?
What's that?
They convinced me. We all pitched in a couple dollars to buy the freaking lottery tickets.
Oh,
In
for the-
Pittsburgh, yeah, in Pittsburgh, it's almost $1 billion
Oh
for
wow.
the Mega Million or whatnot. And they're all like, let's all like chip in $2, and if any of these tickets win, we all share the earnings, blah 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 blah. And they're all like sitting there hyping it up, and I'm just like, whatever, I'll pitch into it. But I was talking to him like, my dad does this stuff. I never do it. Like, lottery is not something that I actually even like deem as a good money use at all. But hey, I'm also the idiot who sits over here and spends like couple dollars on a game that I haven't played in over a month. So yeah, what can you do? That's my life. That's what I do. That's how I feel great about it. But there's other people in the world who are doing things. Wait, no, that doesn't work. There are other people in the galaxy that are doing things that aren't going so well for them. And that's why we're talking about this week episode or show, TV show, sorry, whatever you want to call it, streaming episode of Andor, a show that Austin, you told me to watch. Technically we had it on the list of shows to watch, but I did not know anything about it before it came out, and you apparently had some like viewing of it prior to it.
Yeah, so like I actually was watching it as it came out I think it's every week, yeah.
Okay.
Because this was like one of the first shows that they decided to put on live television. Like it wasn't just Disney only streaming service. They started putting it on ABC, and because of how many views it was getting, it accelerated like people to watch this show. And I think it's because they knew what they got here, and they were like, hey, we're going to try this. And they're actually doing that with another show. I forget what other show they're doing it with, where it's going to be on live TV too. It's another Disney like oriented show. I forget what it was, but it was the Santa Claus series that came out during Christmas. They did that too, with Tim Allen. Yeah,
that's too bad. That's too bad. Okay. So this show, did they release all the episodes on TV, or what they do? Like how they
did like a weekly. They did like a weekly episode like thing, like they did on Disney Plus, but it came out a little bit later actually. So like the Disney Plus had it for like the first like 4 episodes, and then they were like, okay, let's try the first episode after the 4th episode just aired on Disney Plus. And hopefully I think they were trying to do is like get people to buy Disney Plus.
Yeah,
because they were like, oh, which is, it's a business.
It makes sense that I think that would be the goal of me airing it on a cable site or whatever, is to be like, hey, buy the subscription. Both of us win. They get you to watch it on whatever cable program you use, and then you get to finish it and watch it up on Disney Plus, and then we get your sweet money subscription for the next 4 episodes. So that makes sense to me. It's pretty straightforward, I think. All right, Austin. Well, let's start talking about Andor. Go into it. Yeah, Austin. Okay. What did you think when you started watching? Since you watched it episode at a time, obviously it caught your attention. Pay attention to look into it. What'd you think, like overall / how you viewed it and everything?
So I will say this: the first 2 episodes did not get me anywhere really.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of like, setting up the lore. Like most TV series are like to that point where like, the 3rd or 4th episode is when it starts getting good. And I feel that way with this. But I will say this about Andor. We were just talking like over the weekend, because you came back from Christmas, about how I never really watched Phantom Menace. And I end up watching Phantom Menace like all the way through. And I said, that movie is awful. Like, me and you kind of agreed to a point of it. Like, we knew that, we kind of had the same feelings about it. But, I've watched a lot of Star Wars. And you can tell when things like get to a point where they're like, this is good. This is good. This is awful. And like, I felt like Mandalorian was good. I felt Mandalorian season 2 was great. Boba Fett, on the other hand, I liked it, but it wasn't like as good as like Mandalorian. And at that time, we were getting like, why the Mandalorian succeeded is because we got 3 bad Star Wars films, that were just retellings, or it was just downright just stupid, some of the things that were going on in those movies. And it kind of lost hope in the whole Star Wars franchise for me. I was like, I think I'm done with Star Wars for a while. And I watched Mandalorian. I was like, okay, this is good. I like this show. And then season 2, and then Boba Fett, and then the Bad Batch came out, and Bad Batch season 2 just dropped today, I think, like the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually going to watch those this week, hopefully. So I was kind of like, when I found out about Andor coming out, I was like, I don't know how I feel. This is probably one I'm going to skip. I 100% am happy that I did not skip this. I actually thoroughly enjoyed Andor. I think this is the best Star Wars I've seen in a long time. I actually will put this, and I hate to say it, but I put this as a better show than Mandalorian. But they're their own separate shows. I get that. But I actually think as a Star Wars property, I like this show more than anything they put out, like, in the last couple years.
Okay.
I just feel like this was more of an adult move for Star Wars. Like, it was more of like, it didn't have to play on the cheesiness of like, this like, stormtroopers missing, or like, Disney trying to like kind of get away from the violence.
They did miss a lot still, but they weren't the only ones missing. Like everyone apparently was a terror. We've all been over here, been following the protagonist for so long, we forget that everyone in the galaxy's been shooting.
Yeah, so I liked Andor because it was a darker tone of Star Wars. I like the adultness to it. It felt real. It felt good. It felt exciting. Oh my gosh, the episode with the heist was so well done that after I watched that episode, I was like, I gotta watch the rest of this. I gotta watch the rest of this. This is so good. I like the show. But that's me. What is your opinion on Andor? What did you think about this?
All right. How do I put into words my feelings? I mean, I liked it. I preferred. I will still say I prefer Mandalorian over them.
I understand.
And my reason being is that I felt like Mandalorian had the kind of more adult / not as kiddie stuff. The only kiddie stuff you kind of had on that was with Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
The issue I had with Andor is it was like, how do I say this? I was actually thinking this is like a baby's first Game of Thrones. And the reason why is because I assumed we were going to be following Andor or Cassie or whatever the dude his Casey or Cassie or whatever. Cassie Andor, the main character. I thought we were going to follow him. He is one of the 5 essential main characters. Well, maybe I think it's more like 3, 4-ish. And they jump between like him, Mom Mothra, that Cyril guy, the guy who gets completely like he's just a bad. He does not listen to directive, and he gets a lot of people angry at him. The one girl who is I don't know. I don't remember her name. I just know that I'm labeling her the Cersei of the show, because you're like watching her fight and try like prove that she's right, and you're like, yeah, go show them that you're right. And then when she's in control, she's like, torture them, murder them, blah blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, should have seen that coming. Like, Empire's Empire, and we're going to be introduced a character that we should grow to hate. It did not take long. I will say this now. I found all stories in this show exceedingly boring except for Andor. Anything Andor's in, I enjoyed. Anything he's not in, I spaced out. The last like 4 episodes were semi-enjoyable, but not because of anything else going on except for the prison escape. That was the only thing I found interesting in those last couple episodes. And I'm over here being like, get him, Smeagol, free, you're free, run, Smeagol. And it's just one of those things that's like, man, like the whole Mom Mothra, like when they said their name, I'm like, I know that name. I recognize that name. And I had to look up. I'm like, oh, okay, the one rebel leader. I remember seeing her. Okay, yeah. I don't really care about anyone else. No one at all do I care about. I started caring a little bit about the little robot, the
little red robot.
Yeah, the red. I forget his name.
I forget his name too.
But like, just because he has like a little stutter to him, he's adorable. I like him. I also think he's voiced by someone I recognize. Like he sounds familiar whenever, like, they don't hardcore jack up his voice with all the voice recognition. But like the show itself was fine. You say about the heist, I did not really like. The heist was okay. The whole time I was watching the heist, the only thing that was entering my mind is like, when's it going to go bad? When's it going to go bad? What's the point where it turns bad? And then it turns bad really quickly. I think my biggest issue I had with that part was we got so long to learn and meet all these people and then they just off them all. Like, everyone's dead except for the girl and him. And then whenever you think that Mike from the bear was going to survive, he gets off too, and you're just like, my man, my dear brother in the Force, how could you do this? And I liked the show. I felt like the best part was Andor. And I semi felt robbed whenever he wasn't on screen. The other moving parts were fine. There were some great scenes that didn't involve him that I liked. You know, it was like, it just kind of clipped it. It showed the scene where like the Senate's still in session. Like, people are still senators. They're just, you know, puppet politicians now. They don't have no real power.
Looks like something that, like, you know, we can relate to right now. You know,
well, yeah, but how like Disney does its like planning, like, who cares, Austin? We see it every day. We can move past that. But like, I did not care about that, and I was just waiting for like this like super hard cameo drop, which kind of came with the form of what's his face from Rogue One. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah,
the one guy who kind of sets it all up. So yeah, I liked it. I can argue something. What was you say you liked a lot of it? What you want to talk about, Austin? Because I can talk about multiple things.
So I just want to say, like, why I like this so much is because it felt like it was its own thing.
Okay.
It kind of felt like Rogue One. This show is exactly like Rogue
it was
One.
definitely trying to pull off like a Rogue One-esque, which is why I think they chose to kill off so many people in the original heist.
Yeah.
Because they
like,
wanted it to feel like, oh, it's not guaranteed for them to escape.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I actually thoroughly enjoyed that. Like, I seriously enjoyed that. I was really shocked that Mike from the Bear was in it. I was like, hey, don't I know that guy?
I was not shocked that he was in it. I was shocked he did not say the F-bomb once. That was the one thing I was waiting for. I'm like, if Disney wants to get me with this being a gritty Star Wars, he has to just turn to him and say like, hey, F the Empire, and start shooting like that's all I want. But nope, didn't do it.
Yeah, I like, you know, and the thing was like, I like the heist episode because it made me, there's points in my life where I realize when I like Star Wars, and you get this
full heist.
No, Payday 3 is coming out soon, guys. Download it. No, I feel like this type of feeling that I get where I feel like something drags me in and it makes me feel like excited. And the heist episode made me feel that way. Because when they were like flying the transport that had all that like credits or whatever in the meteor shower, and the TIE fighters, I was like, I don't know what happened, but I felt excited again. Like, I felt like I could like this. Like, I was like, I can like this. I don't have to be like, I hate this. Because the difference is like watching this show, I felt something. I felt the excitement. I felt the adrenaline. I felt like this, you know, I felt like I was part of the story. Rise of Skywalker never gave me that, you know, and I feel like this gave me the excitement. It gave me the thrill. It gave me the drama that I needed. It was a show that I was like craving for, but I didn't know that I wanted. And I laughed. I cried. I actually even like.
Where'd you cry at? Can I ask that?
His mom dying.
Oh, okay.
So like that was really emotional.
That makes sense.
And also, I am going to give this a huge shout out. The speech that Luthen does, and he's like, I am the sun, and like I was like, yes, I love monologues like that. I love dialogue like that. Like, you know, like one of my favorite movies of all time is Pulp Fiction, and one of the best monologues in that movie is when Samuel Jackson, you know, goes into that room and he starts just laying this huge monologue on people. Like, he's like, I will strike down these with great vengeance. And like, I like that acting. And the guy that played him did perfect. And then his mom did that transmission, and she did the same energy that was going on. She was like, fight the resist, fight, stand up, rebel, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. I felt like the old Star Wars. Like I felt that way. It was cool to see some of the connections that did happen in the show that leads up to how the rebellion was funded and like how it worked out that way.
Yeah. Which
I
they mentioned in like the original Star Wars series about like the Sanders game.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I'm like they try to make it kind of like political intrigue by introducing Mom Mothra or whatever her name is, Mom Mothma, into it. They're like trying to make it all like ooh, and that's why I said like kind of Game of Thronesy, where it's like constantly jumping between all these different actors, everything of that sort. But honestly, like I didn't care. I was really hoping they would actually show the Emperor like in her story, like where he's like going around like talking with Sanders or whatnot. But he's still like in all these versions of Star Wars, right? They never show any of the original actors because they want them to be kind of like ooh off to the side or whatnot. But if it works to show Palpatine, like show Palpatine. I feel like when it comes to the Senate, we should at least see him glimpsely or whatever in the Senate floor. Or something, just to kind of like show off like, hey, he isn't just this boogeyman like he is in the movies, because he's basically a boogeyman up till the second one, wherever you see him for the first time, or maybe it's the third one that you see him for the first time. But that was my only thing. I was like, I don't really care about Mom Mothra or the other people in this scenario. I will
Martha. Say, do you remember, Grandpa? No, just
I actually think that's what I thought of the first time I heard her name. I was like, I recognize him from Red Letter Media.
Yep.
But yeah, like when it came to Andor, I thought he was great. I thought he was very entertaining. The whole them preparing for the heist was very anxious through that whole point. Like I was getting anxious because like I knew what was coming, and I was like, just do it, just jump, get to it. Like stop having all this scene where we're talking about everything. And because of the sheer amount of times that the people were talking about pulling off the heist, my brain went to he dying. When they mentioned the one kid had manifesto, I'm like, oh, he did. Hardcore. Like, poor kid, that sucks.
Poor kid gets crushed.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, this is some rough stuff right here, just because I know what's happening, and it does. I even think there was one point where someone says something like when I start breathing this will happen or something like that, and I'm just like, he did. Like he just basically gave the whole like, I'll see you when I die. It's like, oh, you're gonna die then. Didn't really care for that too much. But once Andor got abducted, which side note, I actually found it was absolutely hilarious how he got arrested and how he messed up and got himself 6 years in prison. It also made complete sense that the Empire would just basically keep rinsing the prisoners over and over again to keep them forever working, which you do find out it's for the Death Star, which I assumed whenever it was showing that, because that was always a point of contingency on like in fandoms or whatever, people talking about was the resources necessary to build the Death Star and the labor that was necessary to build it. And it's like, how you get that building labor? Prisoners. Done. Infinite labor, and especially if you never really release them, they're all good. You just keep doing it. What did you think of the prison facility? Because that was truly my favorite part of the
very
show.
Interesting concept. It took me actually a minute to figure out how the shock system worked.
Yeah.
Because I saw the boots and I was like, oh, that's some weird boots.
I saw the Nikes. I straight up looked at those things. I'm like, those. why are those people rocking Nikes? These are important, but like,
Back to the Future Nikes.
come on, man.
I was like, I just don't get it. And then when they shocked them, I was like, I
That's
still
what-
didn't get it.
Oh, I got it
didn't
the
get
second
it.
that they shocked them.
No,
The fact
no,
that
like
they
what
told everyone
happened
to
with,
take off their shoes before entering, I'm like, that's how they get you.
I didn't put two and two together until I realized a little bit later, because I thought they might have like implanted them with something that would make them shock. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But the part where they made like the floor was going to be hot when they were going into their own like cells,
Yeah.
it clicked. I said, oh, this whole place is electrified. You know, so I was like, okay. I enjoyed a couple things in the prison. I enjoyed that they had a storyline between how it was a factory, but if you were the people that performed the fastest, you got to get like a prize. But if you weren't, you were shocked that day. I thought that was like an interesting take because it made it more gritty. It made it like, wow, I really hate the Empire because these people are garbage. You know, especially since Andor was in there for like a shitty ass crime. Sorry for my language, but whatever. It was just really bad. Like that crime was terrible. It was like, wait here. And, you know,
Well-
6 years.
Well,
like
that's
6
the thing.
years.
Yeah, like he didn't. It's not even the fact that he messed up by saying he was someone else. That's where he got screwed over. Is whenever he thought to himself, "Oh, maybe if this person," because I don't think he gave them his name. Like he was like, "I'm just a visitor" or whatnot. That was my only issue with the whole series. Like, well, I have like small nitpicks or like just my it's just from my personal preference. But the one thing I do find annoying is that they're just like, what was your reason for being here? Is like, these are sentences, 6 years or something like that. And it's like, what? No, like, visual presentation? Like, even in The Mandalorian, some random crud nugget gets a hologram to show you what he looks like. Are you telling me that this resort hotel place, or whatever this is, does not have hologram identification like Tatooine has? Makes no sense. It's like inconsistent. Like they needed it to not have that in order to get him onto that prison and on prison in a way that no one knew who he was. That was stupid to me. I actively found that stupid that was a thing. And that's my biggest nitpick of the show, is just like they wouldn't just arrest people and then say like, all right, what's your name? You're Bob? All right, you're going to prison for 6 years. They would be like, yes, you're this and you're a traitor or whatever. Because they would have found Andor in a second and he would have been shipped off and then murdered for crimes against the Empire. Or shipped to where he went and escaped anyways. But whatever. That's my preference. That's my thought process. But yeah. What?
Yeah. I thought one of the funniest parts about this show was when they break out of the prison and the guy that plays Schmiegel's like, I can't swim. I knew that was going to happen, but for some odd reason, I just laughed at it because I was like, he can't swim.
I mean, it was kind of
like,
sad that like he's like, I can't swim, and Andor gets pushed off, and that's all you see of him. My brain instantly went to like, guys, why are we all just swimming like this? We have a facility full of like objects. We could build ourselves a boat. Or heck, we can just request a like prisoner, like a new prisoner thing, and the second the new ship gets in, just freaking bum rush them, steal the ship, and then slowly just transport people off of the thing. There's so many things they could do, and I was like, why is everyone just jumping out and swimming? Why is there no one jumping in there with some form of life vest, which I'm sure they would have on this facility whenever you're surrounded by water? Like, oh no, it was kind of dumb, but it was funny that he's like, I can't swim, and then, you know, he didn't even try to. He just sat there awkwardly, which I can understand. If you don't know how to swim, you're gonna get freaked out. But
well, especially in like a tie like the ocean like that, like that would be terrible.
Oh yeah, well,
to learn how to swim that.
I mean, it's luckily enough for them. The first thing that came to my mind when they all just started jumping in the water, I'm like, you just start seeing like sharks just coming up and just destroying them. That's what I thought was going to happen. Like, I'm like, this This is idiots. Why are you guys all jumping out?
Mm-hmm.
And then they all, I don't even know what ends up, like if they all make it or something like that. Because after all those people were running away, the next episode's only 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where did everyone else go? The survivability of these people would be a little more than just 2 people.
Well, probably they went their own separate ways.
Or they all got murdered, or died,
or they died,
or they found the one ring and ran back into the cave. There are so many different ways for Smeagol to have gotten out, and I was just upset with that. So the old guy dying, I knew was coming, but the way he went out was a little surprising. That was a little more shocking for me.
So I think actually there was an Easter egg with the prison. I don't know. I have to research this.
Okay.
The Rise of Skywalker. There's that battle between Rey and Kylo Ren, and that's when he has like the visions of his father. Like Kylo Ren has visions of Han Solo, and they're on a water prison, like an old Imperial prison. So I wonder if that's it. I'd have to research it to see if that's the same
I have no
one.
idea.
That, and there was something that I thought was something going on in the show, but turned out it wasn't. So at the beginning of the show, like every time that place that Andor worked at, like at the beginning, that town that his mom lives in, the guy rings the bell with the hammers.
Yeah.
I thought that was Clarence Brown because it looked like Clancy Brown.
Who's that?
He's the guy from Shawshank Redemption. He's also the voice of the assistant for Zuko in Avatar: Last Airbender. I'm trying to think what else you would know him from. Zim. That's Zim from Starship Troopers. I don't know if you remember
Nope,
the
not
drill
very good with
sergeant
names.
Zim.
I'll be honest.
Man, if you looked him up, you would know exactly who it
yeah,
is.
I
We've
probably
talked about him
knew.
before. Yeah, so he's been doing a lot of roles lately. So I thought it was him. I was like, oh man, he's in Star Wars. And I was like, oh wait, he's already been in Star
He's the
Wars.
warden from Shawshank.
Yeah.
Well,
he's
not the warden. He's one of the security people.
Yeah, he's the one that about
Needs to get
his
taxes
wife. Yeah, his wife. Yeah, so yeah. But yeah, no, like I don't know if it's the same prison that they fought on. That would be kind of cool, like a cool little small Easter egg.
Well, I noticed that the show did a lot of Easter eggs at different points. Like in one of the things, whenever they're naming all the stuff that was stolen, they mentioned Jakku, which is where Rey's from.
Yep.
They also mentioned some of the things that they stole, and I think one of them was a command droid.
Yes.
They mentioned like a droid of some sort, and I'm wondering if that is what is referenced from Rogue One, the one droid that they stole from the Empire that they repurposed or fixed up.
The guy that voices that droid is the pirate from Dodgeball. So
Dodge.
yeah, he's like, "Arr, me booty." I forget his name. Dang, his name was Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball.
Oh yeah. Alan Tudyk.
He plays the droid in Rogue One.
That's what you think of. I look at him. You know who I see?
Hmm.
Firefly.
Oh yeah, he was in Firefly. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Saddest story of Firefly, which you won't. Okay, it's not the saddest story of Firefly. If you're watching the Serenity movie, it's depressing. But yeah, is that the guy?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought the guy.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
No, you're probably right, because I think he did do voices.
Oh wait, like the voice of the droid?
Yeah.
He 100% did the voice of the droid. I'm pretty sure. Rogue One. Yep. Alan Tudyk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So whenever you said him, he was also in the show, but as the other one that like choked him or whatever. He reprised his role for that. So I guess he's going to be the voice of all those units, which is
cool.
It's fine.
That's
cool
solid with that.
I like that guy. He's hilarious to me. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's funny. He was also, I forgot he was in Firefly, but he was also in Knight's Tale. That's the movie I really remember him from because of Heath Ledger. It's one of Heath Ledger's movies that was really well done. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't realize he was in it. The only other that there was a couple actors like I recognized, and the other one was his mom, Andor's mom. You know who she's from?
I don't know.
She's from the Harry Potter movies. She's Harry Potter's like aunt, who's like horrible. It's like they always wanted a wizard in the family. She was a wizard. Like, Mom and Dad always loved their little wizard child. Like that's whenever she was talking, I'm like, I recognize her. I've seen her from. And then I looked up who she was, and sure enough,
yeah, because I was gonna say the original Mon Martha girl that's in this is in Rogue One. She's the same actress.
Oh, okay. So that that makes sense. That
why wouldn't she was young in there and she's young in this one, so it worked out.
I assume that they were going to try to keep as much as the cast. Which, okay, Austin, that is something I want to ask you, right? So I know a lot of people kind of like complained about Star Wars like continuing the story. Like no one was really thrilled with the sequel shows or movies. And it seems like they have dialed back and like are trying to create series based in the original timeline of the Star Wars.
Yeah.
And staying out of prequel stuff.
Yeah, I think they're doing that because they realized how bad the last 3 movies were to them.
Well, I mean, they could have just planned it just a little bit and it would have worked.
Yes,
there was no planning done.
I think that it really hurt them, and it hurt them going forward as like continuing that saga. So instead of continuing the saga, they filled the holes, like the gaps in the holes, and they're trying to fill those. But you can also do in the gaps. You don't have to do, you can make your own original character and just put them in and be like, oh, it's part of this. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like this whole story was part of about the Andor was about the building of the rebellion and like, the rebels becoming like a thing, a force to reckon with. Cause after the heist, it becomes clear that like, it hurt the Empire.
Okay. That is one thing I did like that the show did. Is not only that the heist hurt the Empire, but then you find out the guy orchestrated the heist not to take the money alone. He also wanted the Empire to overreact to it. And then that would cause people to become hurt by them and fight back. Which is exactly what happened, exactly what happens till the end of the Empire. That the Empire does not like what they did, so they react by imposing horrible laws on them, which in turn make them get more angry, which then they react more, and then that imposes more issues, and then it just becomes a complete tyranny of the Empire. Where before all that was done, they were slowly choking them out, which like the one guy says, like they're slowly choking us out, and we almost don't realize the squeeze anymore. So I need them to react so that way they would grip harder and make people react, and that's like the level of dark, backhanded like motive setups that like Game of Thrones kind of did, which is why I called it like Game of Thrones Light or Baby's first Game of Thrones. Because I did find it funny that they tried to show the rebels as bad guys occasionally, and kind of did all that stuff. Like even who was the person that told the one woman who told what was her name? Vel? I think was Vel the other rebel. I think Vel was the other rebel. That she basically got told, hey, you gotta kill Andor because like he's a loose end type deal thing.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm wondering if the show's going to show that neither the Empire nor the rebels were good individuals, and neither of them were great, but one at least fought for the idea of freedom. The other one fought for like this evil emperor who we don't like. And I think it's going to be interesting if they continue Andor to see worlds where they actually prospered because of the Empire's rule, and not just what you see on Hundi or Hundaini, the place with the stars, where the
Hunatha?
Hunadi, I don't know what's called, where that place, where all those people were basically subjugated and forced away from their land.
Oh yeah.
Not all planets are going to be like that. Some of those planets will be like backwater places, but because the Empire is there, it has cleaned up and it's a nicer place. And I'm like, I wonder if that's what they're going to do in the next season or so. If they want to make it more morally gray between this idea of the Empire and the rebels. I will also say this now. Because of the fact that the Senators are still a thing, the sequel series makes no sense now.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna try to wipe this series.
No,
like
they can't. There's two things they could do. There's two things they could do with that. They could either, one, Days of Future past it and like alter the timeline and make it not exist, but like be like, oh, you gotta watch the originals in order to understand the alternate to blah blah. Or two, they just never touch it again. They try never to explain it and go any further of it, and just like push it to the side and continue with what they start creating from this on, which is probably the smarter and better route to do.
Yeah,
people are tired of seeing the Star Walkers. We like the Star Walkers that we were introduced to, but because of how badly they butcher them, no one wants to visit them anymore. Because it's like, I'm Rey Palpatine. Scratch that. Skywalker. And it's like, how dare you do that? Like, Palpatine took everything from the Skywalkers. Now you're the last of them, so you're taking their name too? Great. Freaking A, man.
Yeah.
Horrible person. I don't care like the whole idea of you like.
It upsets me a little bit that they're not going to touch it, because one of my favorite actors actually, like not for those movies, but like for other movies I've watched him in, he's gonna get a bad rap for a long time because he played in those movies.
Who?
And it's Adam Driver.
No, Adam Driver's fine. Adam Driver is legitimately an amazing actor. Everything he's been in besides the Star Wars films, he's been amazing. In the Star Wars films, he's not that bad either. Like he's able to handle and do a good show. The script itself was horrible, and the movie itself was bad. I feel the same way about Gwendolyn Christie. I would love to see like Captain Phasma or whatever her name was in that be more prominent, but she was just tossed to the side every single time, and it's like, I don't want them to visit this because they deserve better. Yeah, they do. Just swipe it to the side. Let's never revisit. Let's never go with that.
Well, I would love to see like them just to swipe it to the side and just say, hey, this is not something I want to do. But they do bring back some of those actors to do other roles. I'd be okay with that. But since they're in that, I would be okay with
them doing like side stuff with them, you know, like for instance, we have a series about X character, and in that series Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren show up, but they're like main antagonists, and you actually see them do horrible, evil, bad stuff, and they live up to their names. I'm cool with that. I don't want them to come back as new characters, because then that kind of causes another issue with the whole like, can't go watch this and see that, like Anakin shows up now, and it's like, oh, there's Anakin, but
yeah, that's true.
He's a whole different actor. It's weird. I don't know. Like that's also my preference. So, who am I? I'm just a fat guy on the internet, just spewing out his own opinions on it. So it means nothing, honestly. But I would like them to go with a more darker route. The sequel series is BS because the second the Empire falls, you know what would happen there. There would be a huge power vacuum, and every single one of those senators in that room would be trying to claim it, and there would be civil war throughout the whole galaxy. I don't think the First Order could even be created from that, because all the senators would just start bickering and fighting with each other. It makes no sense. I'm like, whatever. Let's just enjoy Andor, because it's simpler, it's easier. You know, you have this big bad guys that's already established on where they came from, and we can just be here and be like, ooh, we don't like them. Let's start blowing up ships. Done. Good. I do want to watch The Bad Batch though. I didn't know that came out already.
Yeah,
or
season
maybe
2.
maybe I didn't know that season 2 came out already. I've never seen any of them. I like the concept of The Bad Batch. I thought The Bad Batch was going to be a live action, but I guess it's animated?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm down for watching that sometime. I like animation. Maybe I'll just sneak that in on my own off to the side.
Oh, man. Yeah, because, like, I didn't know that you were into something like that. Like, I kind of felt like that.
Man. Yeah. What else do you think we're watching Gravity Falls next week? I like animation. And I also like the comedy of it.
And yeah, so speaking about that, next week we are doing Gravity Falls.
Oh, okay. Are we done with Andor? Are you done with me ranting at you
I
about
think that
the lost gem of what Star Wars could have been if they tried a little harder, plan things out. But I think Andor was a good show. I'm hoping that they continue with it, and even the people I don't really care about on the show, could be interesting to me. I'm totally cool with that. That's my take. You have any last words on Andor before we start talking about what we're going to do?
No, I think that this is a good turning point for Disney with their Star Wars material. I thought Mandalorian has turned that corner for those like coming forward.
Seems like
because we had a lot of
adapting.
Yeah, because we had a lot of crap. It was like those the sequels, and then we had the Solo movie, which was a nightmare supposedly in the filming and everything, and then they had to bring Ron Howard in to try to fix it. It just was been a nightmare, and and I think that they're down to a point where they can get original characters to get the Star Wars fans excited, and I think Andor did that, and I think that moving forward. Because Mandalorian's coming out this year, season 3 is coming out, so we'll see where that goes. I feel like how I feel with most shows is a good show can run about 6 or 7 seasons. After that, you're just playing too much, and I feel that like Disney knows that, and they're bringing out content that is like new episodes of new characters, and then like just adapting to the original storyline, or just bringing in some things to be like, hey, this is still Star Wars, but the writing's getting a lot better than it was before. So I will say that. But overall, I liked Andor. I'm excited. Definitely there's going to be a season 2, because how it ended is like Andor is saying, like, I'm ready for the rebellion now. I'm ready to join the rebels, kind of deal. So
I'm ready to be here to fight and kill things. I'm here to do this. I do have to say this too. There was another person I did recognize. Did you recognize who the leader of the defense organization was? You don't know? He was in Game of Thrones. Do you remember in the later parts of Game of Thrones when Cersei gets I think it's like the pyromancers to be him, and she has that little guy who's like always by her, and he's that's him. He's the defense guy. When he started talking, I instantly was like, I recognize this guy's voice, and then after looking at him for a bit, I'm like, that's where he's from. Okay. Yep. No, I just wanted to say that because it was fine. I wanted to say it. Yet another Game of Thrones person has joined the Star Wars universe. You had Gwendolyn Christie. You had what's his face?
Gabriel Pascal.
Gabriel Pascal. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a handful. You even had what's Gwendolyn Christie, Pedro Pascal. There was another one. I can't even think of who it. No.
Yeah, me too.
Oh wow. But yeah, Game of Thrones people keep coming in. Of course they are, because they were great actors. Awesome. Next week, we're gonna watch a show that I really like. I watch it every fall, and I was originally going to wait for fall, but because the spooky season is the spooky season, they constantly release new things that we just always watch on Bros and Shows. I wanted to get this out of the way because it's a show that I really like, and honestly, you can watch it at any point. Summer would be great, fall would be great, January is even better because it's my birthday month, so I'm going to force you to watch it. And that's Gravity Falls is the show we're going to watch next week. It's 2 seasons, so we'll watch season 1 of Gravity Falls next week.
All right.
It's on Hulu and Disney, but watch it on Hulu because Disney edited out like little sight gags because they deem them either not good for kids or too closely related to religious stuff. So watch it on Hulu, definitely.
All right, sounds good.
All right, and that's what we do, Austin. So Austin, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Bros and Shows. I enjoyed the episode because I was able to rant furiously about what Star Wars could have been, even though I do not consider myself that big of a Star Wars fan. I just I think I could have been if I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But yeah, what can you do? Well, that's it for us today. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.